Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's parent webinar specifically aimed at early childhood development parents. This theme for tonight is things parents can do at home for language development. I'm Johan van Dil, and I'm the coordinator of the Kiro Learner Support Unit. The importance of language in early childhood development can't be stressed enough. It is such an important aspect. And when you look at school readiness, this is one of the most important components. So, as we all know, that language is the foundation for communication. It's the primary tool for communication. It enables children to express their needs, their thoughts, and feelings. And early language skills are crucial for social interaction and forming relationships. It's also part of your cognitive development and learning. Language development is closely linked to your cognitive growth. It facilitates understanding of concepts and ideas, and a strong language foundation enhances problem solving skills and creativity. And then early language skills are also predictors of later academic achievement. Children with strong language abilities tend to perform better in reading and writing, and language proficiency is key in understanding and following instructions in school. Language also helps in identifying and expressing emotions. Effective language skills lead to better emotional regulation and behavior management. Children with not who don't have the language skill often battle with emotional regulation and behavior management because they are so frustrated that they can't express how they feel. And children with good language abilities can more easily navigate social situations. And then early language skills have a lasting impact on overall development, and they contribute to self-confidence and independence. And good language abilities in early years are linked to higher self-esteem and success in adulthood. So, what are your role as parents in language development? The most important part is to create a language-rich environment through reading, singing, talking, rhymes, having conversations with your child, and then responding and encouraging attempts at speech, and providing a variety of linguistic experiences such as storytelling, playtime, conversations, and modeling correct language use and offering gentle corrections when necessary. And then also recognizing and respecting individual differences in language development. I need to talk about motherese when it comes to language development. It's a term that's not that often or that well known. So it's important for us to talk about it because on the next slide, you'll see why it is important for us to talk about it. So what is motherese? Motherese, commonly also known as parentese or infant directed speech, is that specialized way parents naturally speak to their infants. It features a higher pitch, slower speeds, exaggerate expressions, and simplified language, making it distinct from a regular adult conversation. Now, this is the language that the mother will typically speak to her child while caring and nurturing for that child, while bathing and interacting, especially with babies. And it's very applicable to young babies. And the clear and exaggerate nature of motherese helps infants discern phonetic distinctions and learn a language faster. It's an engaging tone that fosters emotional connection and communication between parent and child. And then it also enhances cognitive skills because motherese holds baby's attention better, aiding in cognitive and auditory processing. So it's natural, it's responsive. So to use motherese in a natural manner, responding to your baby's vocalizations and actions, and it also has lots of facial expressions and gestures, and it accompanies motherese with these expressive facial gestures and body language to reinforce communication. And as the child grows and the language skills develop, gradually transition to more complex language while maintaining an engaging tone. So motherese also change over time. That is positive for a child. But let's talk about baby talk. Using baby talk, especially as children grow older, can have several negative impacts on their language development and communication skills. So it's important to distinguish between baby talk from motherese or parentese. While Mother Reese is beneficial for infants due to its exaggerated, clear, and simplified speech patterns, baby talk refers to using incorrect or overly simplified language that doesn't model proper speech. That's now when you talk about doggy, the wabbit, the blanket, the goo-goo, the ga, all those things that you could give for things that have proper names. So continuously using non-standard language forms or simplified vocabulary can impede a child's development of proper language skills. And children learn by imitating, and consistent exposure to incorrect forms or simplified language may slow down their acquisition of the correct language. And relying too much on baby talk may limit a child's exposure to a richer vocabulary. And this limitation can affect their ability to understand and use a diverse range of words as they grow. And persistent baby talk might impact a child's ability to communicate effectively in different settings, and they might struggle with using age-appropriate language in social situations such as in preschool or with peers. And children who don't hear and learn standard language forms may face challenges when interacting with their peers or adults, and this can lead to social isolation or difficulties in social integration. And language complexity is linked to cognitive development, so simplified language might limit cognitive challenges and opportunities for problem solving and critical thinking skills. So what is important is that we need to enhance the vocabulary at home. And age-appropriate methods to introduce new words is quite important. So for 1 to 2 years, use simple, clear words during everyday activities and repeat these words frequently. When you have a 3 to 4-year-old, introduce descriptive words through stories and conversations. And when you have a 4 to 5-year-old child, encourage the use of more complex words and phrases, because daily activities really enrich vocabulary. And we often find that children don't come to school when they have to read and write with enough vocabulary. So use a rich and varied vocabulary in normal conversations, talk about the food, its tastes, textures, and colors, and describe the environment, weather, plants, and animals. Introduce culinary terms and food-related words at an age-appropriate level. So reading strategies is still one of the biggest and the best way for language development. So there are a few things that we need to keep in mind, like choosing the right books for different age groups. Like if you have a 0 to 1-year-old, board books with simple images and textures are great. For your toddlers, picture books with basic stories and rhymes. And then for your preschoolers, books with more complex stories and characters. And then it's important that when you read for children that you use a vocal variety, use different voices for characters to make the story engaging, read slowly to allow children to absorb the words and story, and use facial expressions and gestures to bring the story to life. And give time for children to process and react to the story. So pause often while reading to them and draw their attention to the pictures and help them to predict what's going to happen next. So when we read to children, there's always 3 phases that we go through. The first phase is like before reading. So that's where we discuss the book cover and we look at the picture on the book and we think, what will this book be about? And then while you are reading, you stop every now and then, ask open-ended questions, encourage children to point out things in the illustrations. A good book always have wonderful illustrations, and a lot of the visual cues in the illustrations will help with the understanding of the story. Stop every now and then and ask the children to predict what's going to happen next, and then you turn the page and let them be part of the reading. And then after you've read the book, talk about the story, talk about the characters, maybe any lessons learned, ask them which character did they like the most, what did they think about the ending, what part of the story did they enjoy the most, and keep on those kind of questions. And then also ask questions like, as I said, what do you think will happen next? Or what did this character, why did this character do that? What does this word mean? Can you think of another word for this? Have you ever felt like the character, or what would you do in this situation? Now, our preschool children are on their way to emergent literacy. Emergent literacy refers to the early stages of learning to read and write, beginning in infancy and continuing through the preschool years. It encompasses the skills, the knowledge, and the attitudes that are detrimental precursors to reading and writing. And it's a very important phase on your way to become literate. And this phase includes understanding spoken words, print awareness, and early writing skills. So the importance of emergent reading, it's the foundation for reading and writing. It lays the groundwork for formal reading and writing skills learned in school. It supports cognitive development by enhancing language skills, vocabulary, and comprehension. And participating in literacy activities helps in social interaction and emotional expression. And early literacy skills are strongly linked to later academic achievement and lifelong learning. So language development in emergent literacy, spoken language is the foundation upon which reading and writing are built. Early language experiences such as listening and speaking are crucial for the development of phonemic awareness, the understanding that words are made up of sounds. And the development of oral language skills in young children is directly linked to their later ability to read and write. A rich vocabulary is essential for understanding text. The more words a child knows, the better they can comprehend what they read. Early exposure to a wide range of words, both in spoken and written form, enhances a child's ability to decode and understand new words while reading. Interactive reading, where children are encouraged to discuss the story in unfamiliar words, is particularly effective in vocabulary building. Daily conversation, storytelling, and narrative play contribute significantly to the development of language skills. Engaging in back and forth conversations encourages children to express their thoughts and understand others, which is vital for reading comprehension. And then storytelling, whether it's reading a book or narrating personal experiences, help children understand the structure of stories and the important skill for reading. Fostering verbal interaction in early childhood. Everyday conversations is the best learning opportunity. So incorporating learning in daily routines is essential. So use meal times, bath time, playtime to introduce new words and concepts. Describe actions, objects, and emotions to enhance understanding and vocabulary, and encourage children to think and articulate their thoughts. Make children feel comfortable in sharing their ideas and feelings, allow children to narrate events, experience, or made up stories, and facilitate scenarios where children can act out different roles and dialogues. Show interest in what your child says and respond thoughtfully, and teach children the importance of listening to others and waiting for their turn to speak, and demonstrate effective communication skills in your interactions. And then also, we live in a world of education, so choose apps and programs tailored to your child's age and development stage. Look for resources that support language development, such as storytelling apps, vocabulary games, and interactive books. And prefer apps that encourage active participation over passive consumption. Follow guidelines for appropriate screen time based on your child's age, and ensure a mix of screen-based and non-screen activities throughout the day. And engage with your child during screen time to make it more social and an educational experience. Use technology as an additional tool alongside reading, storytelling, and real-life interactions, and select tech options that require verbal responses or promote language skills. And demonstrate to children that how technology can be used responsibly as part of a well-rounded lifestyle. So when should you be concerned? Recognize that children develop language skills at different rates. They keep track of their milestones, but remember, milestones is just the guide, and note any areas of concern, and then increase verbal interaction opportunities for the child to respond. Look out for significant delays in speech or understanding compared to age-specific milestones, and that's when you need to seek professional help. Understand that early assessment and intervention can be crucial for effective outcome, and then reach out to speech therapists, pediatricians, or child development specialists for guidance. Your educational psychologist is also a big help here. And then when strategies for bilingual and multilingual households, assign different language to different contexts or caregivers to avoid confusion. There's nothing wrong for a child to grow up in a bilingual or a multilingual household. They will be able to speak most, if they had enough interaction with all the languages, they will be able to speak all the languages. Sometimes they will just speak a little bit later. And then ensure the child is exposed to each language regularly and incorporate cultural elements like songs, stories, and traditions from each of these language backgrounds. So, what can parents do at home? I think if you can make time to read aloud daily to your child, that is still the best way to help your child with language development. Put your child on your lap and share a book with them. Choose age-appropriate books and read to your children. How do you select age-appropriate books? Choose books that are suitable for your child's age and developmental stage. For toddlers, books with bright pictures, simple text, and repetitive phrases are ideal. And these repetitive phrases we call memorable language, and that memorable language they will use a lot when they start reading and writing. Look for books with themes and subjects that interest your child. Create a routine. Set aside a specific time each day for reading, creating a routine that your child can look forward to. A bedtime story can be a calming way to end the day, but any consistent time works. Use different voices for characters to make the story more engaging. Encourage your child to turn the pages and point to the pictures, and ask your child to predict what might happen next in the story. So stop often, and they really love this part of the story. And pause to let your child fill in words or phrases, especially if there's a repeating pattern in the story. Sometimes the writer would have used memorable language and repeat the same sentence over and over and over with effect, and let your child then read with you or talk with you while you're reading that. And then after you've read the story, talk about the story, ask questions about the characters, relate the story to your child's experience, fostering deeper understanding and connections. Remember, we are aiming to create functional readers, so we would like them to think about, and listening to stories is your first reading experience. After reading, talk about the story, ask questions, use facial expressions, and also include a variety of books in your collection, different genres, different cultures, different languages, and maybe even different languages if applicable. Regular visits to libraries or bookstores to choose new books together, or visits online. Make them part of the whole process. While reading, occasionally point to words and letters, especially those that are repeated, to create familiarity. And then extend the story by involving your child in activities related to the book, such as drawing a scene or acting out parts of the story. Be patient if your child wants to read the same book repeatedly. Repetition helps them to learn. It creates a wealth of memorable language, which they will need when they start reading formally at school. Be flexible about how long you read based on your child's attention span and interest. Remember, you can use the chronological age. It's about 1 minute for every chronological year is how long they can concentrate. Let your child see you reading. Children who see adults engage in reading are more likely to value and enjoy it themselves. And if you use digital books or apps, ensure they are interactive and educational. However, prioritize physical books to encourage tactile engagement. Another way that you can develop their language is to narrate your day. Talk through your daily activities with your toddler, describing what you're doing, seeing, and thinking. Use a variety of words to describe your actions, surroundings, and feelings. For example, instead of saying I'm cooking, you could say I'm chopping carrots for a soup. They're bright orange and crunchy. Engage your toddler in what you're doing. If you're sorting laundry, for instance, you might say, I'm putting all the white socks together. Can you find another white sock? Encourage your child to respond or participate. Ask them questions like, what do you think I'm doing now? Or what color is the shirt I'm folding? Tailor your language to your child's age and comprehension level, and use simple, clear sentences. And share your thinking aloud. For example, I'm deciding which book to read. I think I'll choose the one about the brave little mouse because it's your favorite. Describe your experiences in terms of the five senses. Say things like, this orange smells so fresh and sweet, to help build sensory vocabulary. And if your child asks questions, answer them in an informative and engaging way. And if you don't know the answer, it's a great opportunity to explore and learn together. Connect everyday tasks to simple concepts. For example, when setting the table, you might count the plates or talk about shapes and colors. And use gestures, facial expressions, and tone variations to make your narration more engaging and understandable. Talk about how certain activities or events make you feel. This helps your child to develop emotional intelligence and empathy. And children learn through repetition, so don't hesitate to describe the same action or or an object multiple times. And then keep it fun and light. Your tone and attitude can make a big difference. Keep the narration joyful and playful to maintain your child's interest. I know we're not all singers and we're not all poets, but rhymes and songs are a valuable part and a very important part of what we call phonological and phonemic awareness, and that children need for reading and writing. And we often find when they go to school that they don't know enough rhymes and songs, because the rhymes will help them with their phonics and spelling, and songs will also help them to read better. So engage in singing simple songs and nursery rhymes. Encourage your child to join in. Start with simple and well-known songs or nursery rhymes that are easy to sing and remember. Do it all the time in the car where you are waiting for someone. The more, the better. Invite your child to sing along, even if they can only join in on certain parts or gestures initially. Incorporate hand movements or actions that go along with the song. For example, the Itsy Bitsy Spider with its climbing motions can be both fun and educational. Repetition is key in learning. Sing the same song frequently, say the same rhyme frequently to help your child learn the words and melodies, but also to develop phonological and phonemic awareness. And use facial expressions and vary your tone of voice to make the songs more engaging and entertaining. Use facial expressions and vary your tone of voice to make the songs more engaging and entertaining. Have specific times of the day for singing, like during bath time or before bed. This establishes routine and something for your child to look forward to. Choose songs that introduce new words and concepts, because this can be a fun way to expand your child's vocabulary. And include songs that teach numbers, the alphabet, body parts, animals, and other educational themes. And pause during a song and let your child fill in the words or ask them questions about the song's content or about the rhyme's content. And then while live singing is ideal, playing recorded songs is also beneficial. However, ensure active participation. Personalize songs by changing the lyrics to include your child's name or about things they like. Sing about the activities you're doing together, like a cleanup song during tidying up time. And dancing along with the song helps in developing motor skills and adds an element of physical activity. And use picture books that are based on nursery rhymes or songs, allowing your child to connect the words with the images. And keep the atmosphere positive. If your child is shy or reluctant at first, give them time to warm up to the singing. And then imitation is an important part of language development. To repeat the sounds your toddler makes and encourage them to imitate your speech is an important aspect. So respond to your toddler's babbling and cooing by imitating the sounds they make. This reciprocal interaction encourages more vocalization. Speak in simple words and short phrases that your child easily can try to replicate. For example, if your child said bar, you might respond with ball to expand their attempt. And when speaking to your child, exaggerate the pronunciation of words and the movements of your mouth. This helps them to see and hear how sounds are formed. Engage in play where you make animal sounds and encourage your child to imitate them. This can be a fun and effective way for them to practice different sounds. And have conversations with your toddler where you leave space for them to respond, encouraging them to mimic your speech patterns. Along with verbal sounds, use gestures or simple sign language to communicate. This can sometimes help in building verbal skills. And then offer positive reinforcement and encouragement for any attempts your child makes to speak or mimic sounds, even if they're not perfect. And when your child says a word, repeat it back to them and add to it. For example, if they say car, you can say, yes, a big red car. And engage in games where you say a word or make a sound and have your child echo it back. Use puppets or toys to make sounds or say words, encouraging your child to imitate the toy. Narrate and show daily activities like brushing teeth or eating, encouraging your child to mimic these actions and the words associated with them. And be consistent in practicing imitation every day and be patient as your child learn at their own pace. Instead of correcting mispronunciations, model the correct way gently and positively. If using apps or videos, choose those that encourage repetition and mimicry in language learning. And then it's important for us also to use descriptive language, language that describe objects, emotions, and actions throughout the day. It will really enrich your toddler's vocabulary. So when describing objects, emotions, or actions, use a variety of words to give detailed descriptions. For instance, instead of saying, look at the dog, you could say, see the big brown dog running in the green grass. Introduce adjectives and adverbs to add more detail to your description. So the water is very cold or the cat is softly purring. As you move through different environments like the park, the grocery store, or home, describe what you see, what you hear, and feel. Talk about feelings and why others might feel in a certain way. For example, I'm happy because we are playing together. And then when your child shows interest in something, provide more information. For example, if they point to a flower, talk about its color, its shape, and smell. And then use descriptions that relate to your child's experiences or interests, making the language more relevant and engaging for them. During activities like cooking or building, describe what you're doing using words that explain the process and your actions. And then create stories about everyday objects or events. You can make up these stories. This not only enriches vocabulary, but also sparks imagination. Engage in games where you describe something and your child guesses what it is. This could be a fun way to introduce new words. Use words related to the senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell to describe experiences like the taste of foods or the sound of music. And then encourage your child to describe things back to you. It's a good way to practice and reinforce their use of descriptive language. And choose books rich in descriptive language and discuss the descriptions, asking your child what they think about them. And tailor the complexity of your language to suit your child's age and understanding. Compare objects or experiences with others to help your child understand new words like saying, this orange is round like a ball. Be patient as your child learns and be responsive to their attempts to use descriptive language. And then play word and sound games is also an excellent way to develop your child's language abilities. Engage in games that involve rhyming, initial sounds, and playful use of language. Play simple rhyming games where you say a word and your child think of words that rhyme with it. For instance, say cat and encourage them to come up with hat and bat and rat, etc. And start games where you focus on the initial sound of words. For example, let's find things that start with the B sound in this room. I spy with a twist, play a version of I spy, focusing on sounds. For instance, I spy with my little eyes something that starts with this sound. And remember, we always make the sound and not say the letter. And then silly sentence creation. Create silly nonsensical sentences together where words begin with the same sound, like 7 silly snakes sang songs softly, and ask them also to repeat that and make their own ones up. Use cards or pictures of objects and match them with their beginning sounds or with rhyming words. And then make up stories together and focus on using a lot of words with the same initial sound or rhyming word. We call these all word families, and they will need these word families for reading and writing, but specifically for phonics development and spelling later. Play a game where you make an animal sound and ask your child to identify the animal. You can even use YouTube videos. There are many that you can Google with animal sounds, and children love listening to them, and you can make a game with that. Engage in games that involve identifying objects that start with each letter of the alphabet. Sing songs that play with the sounds of the alphabet, like the classic ABC song or other variations. Read books with a lot of rhymes and rhythms and emphasize the rhyming words. You have many of these read aloud stories with little rhymes in them where they repeat the rhyme, and when you get to the rhyme, let the child say that with you. Repeat the sequence of sounds and ask your child to mimic them. Gradually increase the complexity of the sound sequence. Make a sound and ask your child to guess what made it, e.g. a clock ticking or a car honking. Say a word and clap for each syllable. Encourage your child to join in. This helps with the understanding of word structure, phonemic awareness, and phonological awareness. Choose a category like animals or foods and take turns naming items in that category. See who can name the most. Praise your child for their attempts and correct answers, making the learning process enjoyable and confidence boosting. Then the use of open questions is also important. It encourages your child to think and articulate by asking questions that require more than a yes or no answer. Encourage toddlers to think and articulate their thoughts can be done effectively by asking open-ended questions. Here are some tips. Prompt curiosity, ask questions that spark their interest and require them to describe or explain, like, what do you think happened to the missing cookie? Or encourage storytelling after an activity or an outing. Ask, what was your favorite part of the day and why? Use prompts such as, if you could be any animal, which one would you be? Tell me about what you would like to do. Expand thinking. If they mention seeing a dog, ask, what do you think the dog likes to do for fun? You would like to try to avoid yes, no questions. Instead, use things like, did you like the story? What did you like, and what did you like about the story? And ask them to describe the artwork or play. Tell me about what you've drawn here. Inquire about their preferences and the reasons behind them, and with questions like, which is your favorite toy and what do you like about it? And then labeling household items can also be a fun way. Remember, this is emergent literacy, so we don't expect the children to read these words. It's just part of the development. So it's a fun way. It becomes like sight words. They just remember the shape of the words. They can't really read the words, and we would not like them to read the words, but it's good for their language development when you place labels on common household items to introduce written words associated with familiar objects. Remember, it's not about remembering them. It must be fun, it's informal, it's part of the emergent literacy process. They can even just read the labels and the names on the labels if you don't want to label anything in the house. So it's a practical way to introduce written words to your toddler. Start with familiar items, begin by labeling objects that the child uses or interacts with, like bed, chair, cup. And then use clear and bold print. Make sure the labels are easy to read with large, clear letters. And use colorful labels, or let your child help you to make them, turning it into a craft activity. And when placing labels, discuss the items, their names with your child, reinforcing the connection between the object and its written name. Again, the object here is not actually to read these words. It's more for your child for vocabulary expansion, and just that they know, and to make the link between written language and the name of objects. Regularly refer to the labels during the day to familiarize your child with the words, and as your child becomes familiar with the labels, add new ones to extend their vocabulary. Tell stories and encourage your toddler to contribute, even if it's just with gestures and sounds. Interactive storytelling is an excellent way to develop your toddler's language. So when you do interactive storytelling, choose engaging stories. Start with simple stories that have a clear narrative and interesting characters. And then also encourage participation. Pause and ask your child what they think will happen next, or how a character might be feeling. Use props and actions. Use puppets, toys, or actions to make the story more vivid and to give cues for your child to join in. Use different voices and facial expressions to keep your child engaged and to model expressive language. And then prompt your child to suggest what the character could do at a key point in the story. They must come up with the ideas. You can accept non-verbal contributions as well. Even if your child contributes with gestures, facial expressions, or sounds, it's a valuable participation. And then use role playing and pretend play to develop narrative skills in imagination. Engaging in pretend play is a wonderful method to stimulate your toddler's narrative skills, which will help them to understand stories better and will also develop the imaginations. So create scenarios, like set up various scenarios for pretend play, such as the grocery store, a doctor's visit, or a space mission. Incorporate everyday items such as props to encourage creative use and help bring the pretend scenario to life. Act out different characters with your child and use distinctive voices or mannerisms to differentiate them. And ask your child what their character would do next in the play scenario, encouraging them to think imaginatively. And then allow your child to guide the story, even if it takes unexpected turns. We want them it must take unexpected turns to be part of the fun. And when your child suggests the plot or a character action, build on it with yes and statements to extend the play. And pretend play not only nurtures language development, but also encourages problem solving and emotional understanding through role playing. And then create your own storybooks. You can make simple picture books. You can help them to do it. You can choose a theme with them. You can create it together, illustrate with fun, and keep it simple. Use cardboard or folded paper. Don't need to be expensive. The biggest part is involve your child. They must come up with as much of the process as possible, from choosing the colors to help dictating the story. And then staple the pages together or tie them with string and add a personalized cover with your child's name as the author. When reading in daily activities, point to objects, name them, and ask your toddler to do the same. Creating storybooks with toddlers an enriching activity that can really enhance creativity and language skills. Um, Sorry, I've made a mistake there. Sing-alongs with actions, combine songs with actions like the Itsy Bitsy Spider to encourage both language and motor skills. Sing-alongs with actions are a fun way to enhance language acquisition and motor skills development in toddlers. Choose action-packed songs, opt for songs that involve hand movements or full body actions like the wheels on the bus or head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And then perform the actions yourself and gently guide your toddler's hand or body movements if they need help. Repeat songs often, as repetition helps toddlers learn the words and actions more quickly. Introduce props like toy spiders for the Itsy Bitsy Spider to make the experience more engaging, and exaggerate your actions and facial expressions to make the sing-along more captivating and fun. And incorporate sing-alongs into your daily routine to provide regular practice. And then memory games with words are also essential for language development. Play simple memory games using pictures and words to build vocabulary and concentration. Memory games with words are excellent. And then you can use picture cards, create or purchase cards with pictures and their corresponding words. Start with familiar objects, keep it simple. Begin with a small number of card pairs and gradually increase the complexity as your child's skills improve. Engage in matching, turn all the cards face down, take turns flipping two at a time, trying to find matches. And talk about the finds. When a match is found, talk about the words and the pictures, using the words in a sentence to reinforce understanding. Encourage turn taking to help your child develop patience and attention to the game. So that's all we have time for tonight. Are there any questions that you would like to ask? If you have questions, you're more than welcome to type these questions in the chat and in the Q&A, sorry, of this webinar. So you're more than welcome to ask questions now. So type it in the Q&A section, and then I will try to answer them. While you are typing questions, if there are any, this is our last one for this year, the parent webinar. We will do some more next year. So please join us again. We will let you know all the themes and the topics next year, so your schools will notify you when we're going to start again. But for now, this is the end of the year. I hope you all will have a wonderful holiday and will have the privilege to have a holiday with your children, have quality time with them, and enjoy being a parent over the festive season. It seems like there are no questions, so thank you so much for joining us tonight, and have a wonderful festive season. And thank you so much for attending all our ECD parent webinars. From me, Johan van Lille, have a wonderful evening and good night.